Hi, I'm Dwayne Brown. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a judge tosses out San Diego's blueprint for transportation planning. And would-be homeowners are house hunting again. We'll have a look at the improving market.
And I'm Peggy Pico. Holiday stress is nothing new, but there's new ways to handle it. We'll have the latest tips from San Diego's top integrative doctor. Plus, a new documentary about poverty and hunger in the U.S. comes to San Diego, what it means to the food insecure families living here, and why the film is now in the hands of every member of Congress.
And some San Diego food trucks were serving up good eats for a good cause today. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
A judge says San Diego's regional transportation plan is illegal because it disregards state laws designed to fight global warming. The plan was devised by the San Diego Association of Governments, or SANDAG. KPBS reporter Tom Fudge has been following the story and joins us with the latest. So, Tom, tell us about today's ruling by the judge.
Well, Judge Timothy Taylor is a San Diego Superior Court judge, and he ruled that the regional transportation plan that was drawn up by SANDAG either disregards or violates many greenhouse gas regulations in the state of California that have been created by the legislature. While state law mandates a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions over the next 20 years, the SANDAG plan actually imagines an increase in greenhouse emissions because of the many highway projects.
And how big of a deal is this regional transportation plan?
This regional transportation plan is $200 billion in projects, everything from freeways to bike paths that are going to be built in the San Diego area between now and 2050. And I should say that this ruling in this case is also a very big deal because the regional transportation plan here in San Diego is the first plan in California to be created since the state created all these greenhouse gas reduction regulations. So this is a test case.
And remind us who brought this lawsuit.
This lawsuit was brought by a number of environmental groups, including the Cleveland National Forest Foundation, and they argued that the regional transportation plan by SANDAG front-loaded freeway and highway projects while delaying mass transit projects by literally decades.
And what happens now?
What happens now is presumably SANDAG has to go back to the drawing board. They have to draw up new environmental impact reports, and they have to come up with a new regional transportation plan. But the judge himself did say that he expects his ruling, which is a very important ruling for San Diego and for the state, to be appealed.
KPBS reporter Tom Fudge. A federal judge says a San Diego therapist is immune from California's upcoming ban on gay conversion therapy. The new state law forbids therapists from trying to convert minors from gay to straight. Therapist and pastor Donald Welch says it's a violation of his free speech rights. He's suing over it, and the judge says Welch is exempt from the ban until the suit is finished. This is one of the two rulings on the ban. A different federal judge refused to stop the law from taking effect in January. San Diego has now agreed to pay nearly $1 million to settle claims from women assaulted by a former police officer. A council vote today approved payouts for 2 more victims. So far, the city has agreed to pay $920,000 to 3 women victimized by former officer Anthony Arevalos during traffic stops. He was sentenced to nearly 9 years in prison. Consumer advocates are concerned state regulators may be finding a way for San Diego Gas Electric to recoup its uninsured costs for the 2007 wildfires from customers. They point to a delay in a scheduled vote and an off-the-record meeting last week. KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma joins us from the News Center. Amitha, tell us what happened at this off-the-record meeting.
California Public Utility Commissioners summoned ratepayer representatives and SDGE executives for the off-the-record meeting. Now, if you remember, Dwayne, Commissioner Timothy Simon recommended in October that his fellow commissioners reject SDGE's bid to have ratepayers cover hundreds of millions in uninsured fire losses from 2007, but he allowed for ratepayers to be charged for future costs under certain circumstances. Well, last week, regulators directed Simon to make specific changes to his recommendation. Ratepayer advocates are worried now that the meeting was a pretext to ultimately make more expansive changes that favor SDGE. They also say commissioners focused no attention on another opinion written by an administrative law judge that rebuffed customer reimbursement of both past and future uninsured wildfire costs.
And Amitha, what did regulators have to say about these concerns?
A spokeswoman for the Public Utilities Commission wrote me this afternoon saying that the public was notified about the meeting last week and commissioners followed regulatory rules in holding it. But consumer representatives say, look, it was outside the official record. It was not conducted with a reporter transcribing word for word and in front of the public. Ratepayer advocates are especially worried about the weeks leading up to the December 20th vote. That's when they say heavy lobbying by SDGE of commissioners takes place. SDGE spokeswoman Stephanie Donovan says everyone involved in the case has the same opportunity to share their concerns with commissioners.
KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma. The California Attorney General says police departments have to decide for themselves whether to hold illegal immigrants. The Federal Secure Communities Program checks the immigration status of people arrested for any crimes, but today Kamala Harris told police departments participation is voluntary. Court papers say Coast Guard officers fired several shots at an approaching panga boat before a deadly collision over the weekend off the Ventura coast. 2 Mexican nationals are charged with killing a Coast Guard officer in the crash. Petty Officer Terrell Horn died of head injuries early Sunday morning. The court papers say Horn and his team flashed their lights as well as firing shots to stop the panga boat. Investigators in Tijuana made a gruesome discovery over the past week, but it's one that's actually giving hope to the families in Baja California whose loved ones have been kidnapped or disappeared. Authorities have located 2 mass graves containing potentially hundreds of dissolved human remains. Frontiers reporter Aaron Siegel joins us from the news center. So, Aaron, where was this site found and how was it uncovered?
Well, the site was actually named in a confession by a man named Santiago Mesa, known by his nickname El Pozolero, or the Stew Maker. He confessed to dissolving 300 corpses in acid for drug cartels after being arrested in Baja California in 2009. Last week, federal investigators finally went to one of these locations where they found a sealed underground cement cell containing a gelatinous mass of human remains. Then this past Friday, they discovered a second cell. This one, too, was full of dissolved bodies.
And how many bodies are we talking about, and what has been the reaction in Tijuana?
Well, the most recent official count put the number at around 100, but that was before the bodies in the second pit were accounted for. The number of 100, sources say, didn't even account for half of the remains in the first pit. Tijuana residents like Fernando Osejuera, whose son was kidnapped 5 years ago, are hoping that DNA testing of bone fragments and teeth from these pits will help bring him closure. He just wants to know what happened to his son. Government reports recently obtained by a Mexican reporter in the capital say that the number of people who remain missing in Mexico due to organized crime is around 25,000.
Fronteras reporter Aaron Siegel. Hundreds of organizations, including the San Diego Hunger Coalition, are screening a new documentary. It's about poverty in America. Peggy Pico gives us a sneak peek at the film being sent to every member of Congress.
The Line documentary highlights 4 American families' struggle with poverty and hunger. The grassroots film pushes for more federal help at a critical time when members of Congress inch closer to the fiscal cliff. Joining me to talk about poverty and the 210,000 San Diegans considered food insecure is Executive Director of San Diego Hunger Coalition, Jennifer Tracy, and Hannah Gravette with the San Diego Organizing Project. Thank you both for being here. The film's title, The Line, is a reference to the federal poverty line, which is defined as a family of 4 with an income of just over $23,000 a year. Jennifer, how many people live at this poverty line in San Diego County or below it, and how many of them are in need of food assistance?
There's actually about 500,000 people in San Diego County alone that struggle to get enough food to eat. And the poverty rate in San Diego is about 14.8% overall. But of those, about almost 20% of children live in poverty. So that's about 1 in 5 kids in our communities that struggle.
Hannah, you brought this film, you helped bring this film to San Diego. Why do you think that it's important for San Diegans to watch this, even though the stories are set in Illinois and other states?
Well, as you heard Jennifer just say, those same stories exist here in San Diego too, and it's definitely a problem that exists in our community. We can't ignore it. We really feel like it's very important to start a dialogue here in San Diego to how do we bring these families out of the shadows and really help raise them up so they don't have to live in poverty. How can this community support them?
And we're going to talk about shadows and stigma in just a minute, but first we have a clip from the film where a single dad describes what it was like for him to cross into that or over that poverty line.
The line is where you were always in a position to give help. And then for the first time, this line of I've gone from being somebody who could help to being somebody who needs help.
Somebody that has gone from helping a worker to needs help. That's happened a lot since the 2008 recession. Hannah, what are some of the stories you've heard here in San Diego?
I hear stories every day of people that I interact with in the community through my work about people who have had stable jobs, steady jobs, have gotten sick, weren't able to work, then had huge amounts of debt because of their illness and fallen into poverty. It's going to take a long time to crawl back out.
And there's certainly a struggle, the emotional struggle, but the dad also, Jennifer, talked about trying to get on food assistance and how it was difficult for him both emotionally and physically. What kind of programs are here and available to the hungry?
We have a very generous community that donates to our food banks, which are really important. We also have school nutrition programs that are a really effective way of addressing child hunger. And we also have the SNAP program, or CalFresh in San Diego, which is also an extremely effective way of addressing hunger, and it's very efficient. It's one of the best ways to fight hunger in our communities.
And that's the program that's at risk right now, because why?
Right now in Congress, there are cuts that are proposed, and currently the farm bill is stalled in the House. Republicans are fighting amongst themselves about how draconian they want to be in the cuts that they'll make, and those cuts would significantly affect San Diegans in our communities and make hunger that much more prevalent.
If those cuts, I think it was up to supposedly Congress said up to $35 billion over the next 10 years. Jennifer, if those cuts did happen, specifically you said here, how many people it would affect?
I think it would affect overall about 8 to 10 million people in the nation, and so a significant portion of that would be in San Diego County.
And that's part of the reason this film actually was sent to every congressman member in Washington, D.C. The documentary also talks about that shadow and stigma we were alluding to earlier. Let's listen.
Some of the most prevalent and damaging stereotypes about poor people are that they're lazy, that they're stupid, they don't have any skills, prefer poverty, that they can't take care of their families.
So, Hannah, some of those stereotypes, how true are they? What's the situation here?
I would say they're not true at all. In fact, even today for the show, I didn't want to be the one here. There were 4 individuals that are living in poverty in San Diego that I invited to come on the show. All of them are working. They couldn't come because they're at work today. So I think the main thing to say that my understanding is that people that are working multiple jobs to survive, people living in poverty work hard. And the truth is, I would say many of us are only one paycheck away, one accident away from poverty. And I think this film really does highlight that.
Okay, well, you can watch the the documentary, The Line, on our website at kpbs.org. Jennifer Tracy and Hannah Gravett, thank you so much for talking with us about this today.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
The City of San Diego has approved a foreclosure registry. It allows code enforcement officers to fine owners who let foreclosed properties become run down. The City Council vote split along party lines. Democrats voting for it, Republicans voting against it, saying the registry only creates another bureaucracy. First-time buyers out scouting for homes, another sign the battered real estate market is finally on the mend. Sales and prices rose steadily this year as the economic recovery took hold. KPBS Business and Environment reporter Eric Anderson has this update.
This modest La Mesa home has captured the eyes of Renee Gentry and Joshua Peralta.
We have a decent little private driveway, no garage.
I like the rock pillars over there. Those are nice.
The couple plans to marry in March. A new house would allow Gentry to leave behind her parents' home and allow Peralta to move out of his studio apartment.
I like the red door.
Lucky red door.
Yeah.
It looks like a rising sun. Ooh.
Smells like cherries.
Gentry works in administration at a La Mesa school. Peralta is a firefighter.
This is my favorite part.
Part of the house.
Even with two incomes, their budget for a house tops out at $350,000.
Granite countertop. Flipped house, flipped house.
Most of them are.
Stainless. I wonder if everything works. Oh, yeah.
The garbage disposal work?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
This 3-bedroom, 2-bath house fits their lifestyle and aspirations for a larger family in the future. They thought finding a house would be tough, but they didn't expect the competition. San Diego has very active investors and cash-only buyers, and that usually means multiple bidders on a home.
So we have a very low inventory and a great buyer demand. So that is one of the primary things that's affecting the market, especially for the first-time home buyer.
Leslie Kilpatrick is the president-elect of the San Diego Association of Realtors. She says a lot of first-time home buyers are taking a serious look at the housing market.
How many of us need help?
While there were people that were hurt during the recession and the meltdown, there are people who have been working and saving and waiting. And now that the interest rates have come down to make the price affordable per month, they're able to get into the market.
A recent San Diego Association of Realtors seminar had to be moved to a larger venue because the interest was so strong.
So far in the buying process, we know that you need a realtor, and we know that you need to work on your credit.
Realtors and bankers gave more than 170 people tips on financing and house hunting.
People are feeling more confident about both where the market is and I think more broadly about where the economy is.
Michael Lee is director of the Corky McMillan Center for Real Estate at San Diego State University. He says that optimism is stoking interest among first-time home buyers who've been waiting out the economic downturn.
People have been deferring, either moving into owner occupation or even moving out of their parents' house, and a combination of historically low interest rates, kind of a view that we have hit the bottom and prices are beginning to rise, saying this is a time when we should be thinking about buying.
There are still some negative pressures on the market. Foreclosures are declining but remain at historically high levels, and the number of short sales is also up.
I think we're probably a year or so away from really feeling comfortable there, and that's reflecting in the fact that we still have about 25% of households with a mortgage here that are underwater.
Lee says a recovering economy will go a long way toward fixing those problems, and he says the local housing market could serve as one of the engines of that recovery.
Details. Tiled. It's tiled in there in the shower. We got a little tub. Small little bathroom.
But with a March wedding already on the calendar, Joshua Peralta and Renee Gentry hope they find and win a bid on a home soon. Peralta says he's ready to start creating memories in a home like the one he remembers from childhood. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Now, the couple made a bid on the house they were touring, but another bid was accepted, so they're now second in line. Another cool down in the San Diego forecast. Cloudy along the coast with temperatures in the 60s. A little warmer for the inland valleys, hovering around 70. Low 60s in the mountains with some sunshine. Low 80s in the deserts. Temperatures will be coolest on Thursday and start to creep back up again on Friday.
Brown. On the next news hour, NATO takes up a request from Turkey to place Patriot missiles along the Syrian border as Russia warns against the deployment. It's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
Riddle me this. What does a car dealership, food trucks, and Meals on Wheels have in common? They're all trying to make this holiday season a little brighter for homebound seniors in the county.
Fat Ron Burgundy, yep.
It was a foodie's delight outside this car dealership in Kearney Mesa.
It's got cheesesteak mozzarella sticks, which was the selling point for me. Fries, lettuce, tomato, onions, and whatever that groggy sauce is.
Thank you very much.
15 food trucks from San Diego.
Try to be graceful.
There you go.
Offering a wide variety of tastes to patrons, with 20% of the proceeds going to support Meals on Wheels.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just showed up for the food, so that's very cool, though.
And so did hordes of others crowding what normally would be a car dealership. Subaru provided the space because Meals on Wheels is one of 5 charities it supports annually.
We help the seniors that are homebound. They're not grocery shopping. They can't cook from themselves. And you know what? Their greatest fear is the unknown, and this fiscal cliff and everything that everybody's talking about is frightening them. And the donations have slowed down due to this.
The last couple of months of the year can be tough for any nonprofit organization or food truck, but an event like this can be golden. That's because every patron is given 3 golden coins to vote for the best food truck of the day. The winner receives a certificate of recognition and most likely a new customer. Rich Horte with New York Rye won last year's competition.
I think the odds are very good.
And the odds of raising more money look good for Meals on Wheels. Last year, more than 600 people turned out in the rain. But today, it was nothing but sunshine.
It's already a bigger volume than it was last year at this time. So it looks pretty good, and I'm glad to see people coming out and supporting. I think we'll get a lot of hits. The car dealership, by the way, also provides Meals on Wheels $250 for every car sold. Managing holiday stress is important to your health. Peggy Pico gets some tips on how to do it from the founder of Scripps Center for Integrative Medicine.
It's no secret concerns about money, shopping, relatives, and other holiday tasks increase stress levels. But stress can do more than ruin your holiday fun, and there's plenty of research that links stress to depression and physical illness. Here with some ideas on how to deal with holiday and everyday stress is cardiologist Mimi Guarneri, founder of Scripps Center for Integrative Medicine. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Dr. Guarneri, what are some of the physical symptoms that show you might be under stress?
I think the most obvious is a fast heartbeat. People will feel right away that their heart is pounding more. Other people will feel irritability in their abdomen. They may even have to run to the bathroom a few times. Muscle tension, headaches, things of that nature.
There's acute stress, let's say like something I would experience in a long line at a store, but there's also this sort of chronic stress that happens too. What's the difference?
Well, acute stress is you have an event, the 9/11, the World Trade Center towers fall. That's acute stress. Northridge earthquake, that's acute stress. These have been found to be associated with increased cardiovascular events, heart attack and arrhythmia. Chronic stress is when we have too much on our plate and we can't cope.
What left untreated, the kinds of health problems can people face, or do you see, I should say, as a physician, due to this sort of chronic stress?
Oh, it's right up there. It's high blood pressure, diabetes, coronary spasm, chest pain. Then people will say, I can't concentrate, I'm not thinking clearly, my memory is off. And of course, insomnia and this short fuse syndrome where people get angry very quickly. All of these are the result of stress.
And there's been plenty of research. I think you mentioned 75% of the complaints seen in doctors' offices are related to stress.
75 to 90%.
Wow. Give us a few ways, sort of alternative ways to deal with, let's talk first about stress on the spot, that, you know, I can't find my parking place, I'm spending too much money these holidays. What can we do while we're out and about and we come across this stressful situation?
The first thing I tell my patients at Scripps is take a time out, stop. Take a deep breath. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Just breathing 5 seconds in and out resets the entire autonomic nervous system.
You hear about that in my Tai Chi class and yoga classes, this breath being. What about dealing with sort of a chronic stress, biofeedback? What else is out there besides medication?
So what you're saying is, how do we improve our resiliency? And the way, again, we do it at Scripps is we say, let's teach you yoga, let's teach you meditation, Tai Chi, Qigong. Let's get some tools in your toolbox so then when life throws you a curveball, you don't react. It's all about how we react, and it's all about our perception.
Right. People respond differently. It could be stressful for one person and funny to the next.
Exactly.
You mentioned something when we were talking earlier about singing. I mean, it doesn't have to be these kind of crazy, well, some people might call them out there exercises. You could sing.
Absolutely. I just saw this wonderful 86-year-old Italian woman in my office, and she was depressed. I said, what makes you feel good? She said, when I sing Italian songs. I said, then why aren't they playing in your house all day? And she looked at her husband and she said, Charlie, can we play them all day? And he said, yes. And it was like she lit up just at the thought of singing her Italian Neapolitan songs.
So you can find your own way to deal with stress. Let's talk about, these are integrative techniques, sort of things you can do on your own, but traditional medical treatments, what are they, and can this be combined?
It can absolutely be combined. So you know people get Valium, they get Xanax. Personally, I like to avoid those. When you need them, great, but they're addicting in the long run. Of course, people get antidepressants because they're also anti-anxiety drugs. Again, when you need them, fine, but we like to avoid it. What we teach over at Scripps is we will teach all the breathing exercises. We'll teach yoga and meditation. We'll teach you to look through a different set of lenses. You know, if you practice appreciation, gratefulness, all of a sudden those little things that are annoying you start to go away. Change the way you build your schedule. You know, so we improve your resiliency. That's the goal. So you have better coping skills.
And it's sort of how you look at it. I think we've heard that before. Be thankful, be grateful, and it shifts you. What are the signs that stress, because this does happen, that it has crossed over from stress to something serious and you need to get help?
Right. Well, people will say it. They'll say, I'm burnt out. I don't have the will to go on. I want to quit my job. You know, they just can't take, quote unquote, one more thing. And that's really when we're on the downside of the curve. So when you start reacting with hyperreactivity, oh, I can do everything, bring it on, when you start taking on more than you can do, feeling like you can't cope, that's the time to take a time out and say, I need to do something different.
And reach out for some help. Well, Dr. Mimi Guarneri, founder of Scripps Center for Integrative Medicine, thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. Have a great night.